is an airbrush?
What's an airbrush?
What's an airbrush?
What? Ah. No. What's an airbrush?
This is an airbrush. This is a double action airbrush. It's one of the best ones you can get. So how does this little thing work? Really simple in function. You push down for air and pull back for paint. Having such a sensitive trigger is what gives you so much control over your artwork. So you're able to create things like this eye. It's so easy. The paint sits in this little cup here. We'll call that the paint cup. The airline gets plugged in here. When you push down on the trigger and pull back to pull back the needle inside here, that little needle is what allows paint to flow. Little bit of water there. And that's the basic function of an airbrush. That's great, Airbrush Tutor, but how do I actually use an airbrush? When I push down on the trigger, air flows. Listen. If, at the same time, you're pushing down on the trigger, you pull back, paint will come out. That's how a double action airbrush works. If you really want to start learning how to control an airbrush, then practice this. It's called double actioning. The first action, push down for air. The second action is pull back for paint. Keep the air down. Practice this double actioning. So let's point it towards the paper. Remember what I said. Push down for air and pull back for paint. That's how to do a dot. You need to hold down the trigger and make sure that you're holding it down. And then pull back for paint, making sure that you keep holding down the trigger. Boom. 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 This is why it kicks the out of a paintbrush. With a paintbrush, you've got one intensity. You can paint at 100% of whatever color you're using. Now notice, when I don't pull back as much for paint, that not as much comes out, surprisingly. Here. Here. Now we've got dots in the background. And then when we do actions with it is when we get effects. Keep the air down, pull back for paint, push forward to stop the paint. Pull back for paint, push forward. And don't do this slowly. Snap it on, snap it off. See how fast my hand moves there? My finger? On, off, on, off, on, off. If you want to practice between now and the next tutorial, then practice doing these dots at different intensities. 100% dots, 50% dots, 25% dots, and 5% dots. To keep improving, practice this double actioning. Dots are the most boring thing to look at, but yeah, this is your alphabet. This is what's going to teach you how to be a master. Practice these dots, and next I'll show you how to do lines. Dots with movement.